Well, you beat me here.
I did. We didn't stop.
Nope. Well, I think your car looked good.
I like the pinstripe.
Thank you.
Pinstripe came out
I
beautiful.
think you looked the best. You went the fastest.
I know. Just the driver had a problem, but what are you going to do? You know, I mean, you know, it's just one of those things. I was so excited that I just got ahead of myself. What are you going to do?
Well, I sure enjoyed being the pushmobile.
Yeah, that thing, everybody loved that. Everybody came up and said they really got a kick out of that. And as you said, the car looked better than anything out there. And people received it very well. And the people that ran the race, you know, they really, after we understood what they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and we delivered what they wanted, the wire wheels and the fuel injection, then everybody was great.
Yep.
So I was very happy with the whole thing.
You know, I have to tell you, I love when I come up here because it just reminds me of growing up with my dad when our shop was right next door.
Absolutely.
And
When
thank
you're
you.
working on when you're working on the root beer truck. I love the root
My
beer
56 pickup.
truck. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Well, you would let me, you know, my dad, all my father had for equipment, we had a heliarc and we had a drill press. But Seth had everything. And you would just let me come over here and, you know, go through the scrap bin. And
Yep.
then this is the first place I ever learned to use a lathe or a mill.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I have to thank you for that.
Well, you're entirely welcome, but, you know, I was thinking about, you know, you've done a lot of stuff for me, too, over the years. You know, you drew the crane, when we started the crane company, you drew the first business card for the crane company. And then years later, you drew the last business card for the last little crane. So it's been there's been a lot of exchange of things and ideas and helping each other. I've just had a great time.
Well, you always do things right, and that's what I enjoy doing, is taking it to the best level that we can. And this right here is a prime example of that, and also your Lakesters, you know.
Yeah,
Painted a few of them here, a couple graphics there. Those are both my paint jobs. That's actually the four there.
Yeah, the last four pictures are all
Those are the
all
same
your
car.
paint jobs.
Yep. So I've had a lot of fun with you, and I hope we continue to have fun.
Yeah, well, we got to figure out more things to do.
What's the next race for this now?
I think the next race for this right this minute looks to me like it's going to be the fast race at Santa Margarita in maybe March or June of next year.
Okay.
I think that's what we're going to do. I was talking to Smokey today. We're going to do some more work on the motor, and we want to work on the starter a little bit. I'm not super impressed with the way the starter's working, but it worked well today.
Yep.
I didn't have any starter problems.
No.
I was really happy about that.
Well, you may have not taken away the big award today, but you left them all scared.
That's true. No question there.
Just like you did 50 years ago when they outlawed the first car.
Oh, yeah. Let's go look at that car.
All right. Now, there is so much about this car, so much history to this car.
Well, this car represents one of the first. I did some drag racing before we built this car, and then I got interested in vintage racing and vintage cars, and then that's when we started building this car here. This was 1975. I mean, it was built right here where this table is.
Now, you built this car, Signal Hill climb.
Right.
You took it there, and it's only 1/10 of a mile?
Yeah, it's the same as we're still racing with the fast group. It's 1/10 of a mile.
And how badly did you beat the record?
You know, I don't remember what the old record was. We established a new record at 775. I think the old record was somewhere in the 8s. So we did a pretty good number.
You just obliterated it.
Pretty much, you could say that. That rear end center section is out of an early Ford, So it uses a Ford V8 ring and pinion.
But it's a magnesium
It's a
housing.
magnesium housing.
And how many of those were built?
You know, there was not a lot. I mean, they're around. Every once in a while, one will turn up.
Where did you find it?
I actually had it in a dragster that I crashed at Long Beach in 1968.
So it's an old drag racing component.
It's an old drag racing component. Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's very light, and it's open tube rear end, so it doesn't have any axle housing. So the axle is actually turning in the bearings. And then I handmade all those aluminum red brackets out of solid aluminum.
Well, I want to get to that in a minute, but now when you blew the record away, they outlawed it.
Well,
they rewrote the rule book.
They rewrote the rules, yeah, and they just, I mean, it was very obvious that they didn't want us to run anymore because they put stupid rules in there that you would never put in. I mean, that drive line is not in the center of the car.
Right.
Because the rules said you couldn't have a quick change rear end.
Right. And you put a quick change.
We put the quick change gears up
in
on
the
rear
bell
end
housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we achieved the gear ratio that we wanted, but we didn't have a quick change rear end.
Right.
So we sort of interpreted their rules.
Right.
You know, and at which it worked out beautifully.
I started working in my dad's shop in 1970 when he was at the airport. We moved over here in 78.
Right.
And this was already on the wall.
Yeah, and this we hung this on the wall in, I think it was 80.
You know, the godfather of billet aluminum, everybody knows as being John Butera.
Okay.
And I worked with John Butera at Hot Rods by Boyd.
Okay.
And we were working on a project one day, and I knew about this car, and I knew that John was known as the guy that introduced billet aluminum. And I said to him one day, I said, "Do you know Seth Hammond?" And his head snapped so fast, and he looked at me, he says, "How do you know Seth?" And I told him, I said, "Well, my dad's shop was right next to his shop, so I grew up with him." Oh. And he says, "Seth Hammond introduced me to billet aluminum."
Oh my God.
And it was right here. You were doing it before anybody.
Yeah.
And that's why when I asked you, what was your inspiration for this? And I loved your answer.
I hung around these guys that built race boats. And all the race boat guys would buy big chunks of aluminum from the aluminum houses, and they'd bandsaw out these parts and sand them and polish them and get them anodized, and they'd bolt them on and bolt the motors in, bolt the V-drives in, and all that stuff. And I thought, well, sure, we could use that stuff on cars. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and Lee Gustafson
Yep.
had his shop right across the way.
Yep.
Or this way. Yeah, right there.
Yep. And Lee Gustafson actually built the motor in this car.
Oh, that's cool.
And this has got a 16-valve, twin cam, double overhead cam head conversion made by the Frontenac brothers in 1924. This car got so much attention being on the wall in this office, and we thought this car would still be competitive. And so the idea was we're going to take it off the wall and race again. So I thought about it a little bit, and I said, this is just a great piece right where it is. It looks cool. I love to look at it every day. Why do I want to take it off the wall? Right. Well, let's build a new car. One of the things that you caused me pain in is every time you'd show up here, you'd come up with these really bitchin' ideas, and then it would take at least 40 or 50 hours to actually execute the ideas. But it was worth it because the car came out beautiful. Well, you did it well. Well, that's where I say this car has so much history, and you're right, it is in its perfect place right now. The 50th anniversary was the last fast race where you took the car out there and you got the best with the new car. Yeah. You did exactly what you did with this car. Yeah, and then they wrote this car out, the new car, out of their rules. Yes. So you had to change the wheels. Yeah. And you had to change the injection system to go back there and then. Except, you know, in reality, right now we're still written out of the rules at Fast. As far as King of the Hill, but you can get Best ET. We can get Best ET, and that was thanks to Speedway Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, because they said, well, they wanted to honor the car that had the fastest ET. Yeah. So they kind of took the idea from the Fast Trophy that Hot Rod Magazine gives away at Bonneville for the fastest one-way pass. Oh, very cool. And that's where they got the idea. Yeah. So they gave this trophy to us this last time we were back there for having the fastest ET. Just wanted to share that with everybody because this brings me back to my childhood and
I'm still living that same dream today.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Well, we're still doing the same thing.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. It's been a lot of fun. It's got a 39 Ford Trans in it. It's got nice seats, got good seat belts. This would be just perfect. I won up there with this car one year. Yeah, this is a pretty cool engine. This is another one of the, remember in there we were talking about all the DO engines? That's what this is, another one of them. That's a HAL. And Smokey put this engine together. If a guy was coming back from World War II and he had no money and he wanted to go racing, this is what he would end up building. Because you get the Ford bodies at the junkyard, the frame was out of a Model A. This engine, by the time World War II ended, which was what, 45? This engine was obsolete for racing because the V8 Ford flathead had taken front and center stage. So these racing engines were available cheap. So if a guy didn't have any money and wanted to go racing, there's what he'd build. And when I built it out of old race car parts that I rounded up from every place I could scrounge an old race car part. And I put them together just like they would have done it back in the day. And I've had a lot of fun with this car. I raced it with WRA for a lot of years. And then I bought this one for my daughter Tegan, and her and I were going to the races together. This is a really fun car to drive. It's got power steering. It doesn't have as much power as a 410 sprint car, but it just gets around the track really good, so it's really a nice car to drive. Yesterday we just got back from the RPM Nationals and up at Santa Margarita, and we didn't quite win, but we did very good. We actually had the fastest car there. I was a little late on the start, so I actually got beat, which is terrible, but that happens in racing. And but the car's definitely the fastest car up there in its class, so that was good. It's just the driver was a little bit lagging. But at any rate, car came out really nice, runs very well. We're very, very satisfied with the way it ran. This is actually a 1934 Model B Ford engine. It's got a racing cylinder head on it that was made in 1934, 5-ish, by a guy by the name of Ray McDowell from Los Angeles. It's a double overhead cam conversion for a Model B Ford. It's a very rare cylinder head. And I like to collect these double overhead cam conversions. Back in the 30s, there was about 5 different manufacturers that made these double overhead cam conversions. And I've got 4 of the 5 different heads that were made. HAL made a head. Dreyer made a head, that's in that car over there. Krager made a head. I've got another Krager head. So they were very rare for the day. They weren't Offenhausers, but they were sometimes called poor man Offenhausers because they weren't as expensive as an Offenhauser, and the average racer could afford them. So anyway, I like to collect those things. This car over here is something I'm putting together with a 2-cam Dreyer in it, and it's gonna be a street a touring car, and it's a 2-man car. So there'll be a driver and a navigator, and we're going to go on these road rallies with them. So that'll be kind of a fun thing. And my wife's a pretty good navigator, so she'll probably end up being the navigator. These are all pictures of cars that we ran at Bonneville. We ran Bonneville for 42 consecutive years, starting in 1976, and didn't run anymore after about 2000, and I think it was 18 was the last year, 17 or 18. The 4 center pictures are the same car under different configurations. We changed the engines, changed the body. This last configuration was the checkerboard car, and that car, that was the first car that we had that ran over 300 miles an hour, and my wife was the driver at the time. Tanis was the driver, and that's her in the center of the picture with the blue hat on. And the rest of us all got red hats on because we only want 200. But at any rate, I ended up crashing that car in 2003 at about 300 I don't know, 24 miles an hour or something. And then we eventually built this last car at the end. And we ran that from about 2006 until about, when we quit, 2017 or 18. So yeah, that was our Bonneville experience. We had a lot of fun. We set a lot of records at Bonneville. Cool. We put 10 people in the 200-mile-an-hour club, and we put 7 people in the 300-mile-an-hour club. And of those 7 people, 4 of them is my wife, myself, my daughter, and one of my sons. So a pretty good deal there. This is something that I always had an enthusiastic for when I was a kid. This was an engine called an Allison, and they were surplused after the war. There was quite a few of them around, and so the hot rodder got a hold of them, and they put them in boats, mostly race boats, unlimited hydroplanes. And I rounded this one up through a friend of mine who was a Reno Air Race guy. But the Reno Air Race guys like the Merlins, and this came to him on a trade, and so I ended up getting this from him. I'm hoping to one of these days possibly build a car and put this in it. Jay Leno's got, I don't know, he's got 5 or 6 cars with airplane engines in it, so it might be kind of fun to do. But right this minute, I just got on this engine stand so we could start it up and look at it and talk about how cool it is. That actually is a Kurtis, 1947 Kurtis midget with a 110 cubic inch Offenhauser double overhead cam midget engine. That whole car belongs to Chip Foose in its entirety. And we put it together. He got it on some kind of a deal. I don't know, you'll have to ask him how he got it. He got the engine separate from the car. And then anyway, we put them together and we took it up and raced it. We have this association called the WRA, and that's Western Racing Association, and we run vintage dirt track race cars. And vintage dirt track covers anything that's 25 years or older. And so what we do is we go to different tracks around the state, and we run as secondary show for the other big sprint cars that are running. So that's a lot of fun. We generally get about 6 races in a year. That's Max, the guy that blew up today that couldn't race. I don't know if you heard, but him and I raced at this race. I beat him once, he beat me once, and we've never managed to get our 2 cars together so we can race again. So that's what today was all about. We were going to race. He had his blown car, and I had my car that we were just looking at right there. And we were hopeful to be the last 2 guys running. And he broke his car, and I jumped the red flag, so neither one of us accomplished what we wanted to. This is, that's when I crashed the Lakester at 300. And that's my daughter who set a record in 300, and she's turned her driving into a stunt driver career, so she's now a stunt driver. This is a really cool deal. This is a conglomeration of old race car parts. Everything on here is like 100 years old except for the body. And I built the body. These were 100-year-old knockoff wire wheels. This cylinder head, 102 years old. It's a Rajo overhead valve conversion for a Model T. This is a 1922 Model T engine. So in 1922, Noel Bullock took a Model T just like this with the same cylinder head and won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. And so the next year, the guys didn't like, because he did so well, they put a weight limit on the car. So they said your car has to weigh a certain amount of weight, because the cars that they were racing were much bigger and heavier. And his car was lighter and accelerated better up the hill. I really like the story because it's basically what's happened to me over the years with that car that's in my office and this car here. This car was outlawed from the one that we raced today or yesterday. That car was outlawed by the association last year because we ran so fast with it last year. So they just penciled it right out of the rules. So I think it's kind of neat that we're doing the same thing all over again, you know.